ASU.
Maroon and gold, navy and red. These two schools play 2 times a year. It's always a lot of fun, and we're underway from Tempe. Sun Devils will start out with the basketball. Coming off of a tough loss on the road to Colorado in the penultimate game of this regular season. Arizona, meanwhile, they've won 3 in a row, feeling good about themselves as Jaylen Brown cuts inside and scores the game's first basket.
Jaylen Brown was out here shooting before the game. She was out here by herself. You could tell she was pumped for this one and scores that first basket for the Sun Devils.
Rangy, difficult to defend, and Adia Barnes talked about how the Wildcats have to be aggressive when defending her in this ball game. Nice defensive stand for the Sun Devils, and here's Ty Skinner, our spotlight player, with her first real touch. Off to Levette in the quarter. Game in the first meeting between these two sides, 18 points and 7 rebounds in that win for the Wildcats, averaging 13 points per game. But the sophomore, you're going to hear that a lot about U of A. A whole lot of underclassmen, in fact, the youngest team in the Big 12, and it really goes to show the coaching job that Adia Barnes has done this year with such a young group.
Yeah, it really is. Braden, she talked about they need experience, and they have it with Isis Bay, but, I mean, they don't have a lot of experienced players.
Here's Brown looking to drive around Jones. Got inside to her spot, but couldn't hit. Rebound goes to Isis Bay, one of the seniors on Arizona's side. Tempo for the Wildcats. It's Williams in the corner over the top of Skinner. A little strong that time off back iron. Offensive rebound and a putback for Isis Bay. Coach Barnes said she's playing the best basketball of her career, a 5th-year senior for U of A.
She's embracing it because she said the school she's been at, this was never her role. She would be out there for defensive purposes. Now she's out there to score, and she's loving it.
Double digits in 3 straight entering this ball game. That confidence.
She really was. Parkinson, they want to finish at the rim today, talking to Coach Adair, and that's a good sign from Parkinson.
It's a Sun Devil team that loves to play with pace, and if they're going to have success today, they're going to have to find that pace. So far, that was in a half-court set. Another jump shot by Bay, this time from the elbow.
Isis Bay, she is taking that role and really running with it. And the fans here, I mean, U of A, we know they travel well, and they like that shot from Bay. She's coming off a big game against Texas Tech.
Yeah, you mentioned it. A whole lot of red in the lower bowl of Desert Financial Arena today. There were a couple of buses that made their way up I-10 from Tucson. Trying to root their Wildcats on as it's Basham. Skinner with space. Off the mark. Parkinson on the offensive glass. Basham from 17 feet away. And a loose ball foul will go on the ground against Arizona.
You know, and Ty took that shot, that 3. That's a shot she normally makes. We've seen her make those clutch shots. Basham had a chance. Then it gets a little physical underneath the hoop.
Yeah, and you know it's going to be physical all game long, potentially chippy as well. Arizona won the first meeting between these two sides by 7 down in Tucson on February the 8th. But with so much on the line and the emotions of a senior day, don't be surprised if emotions kind of ramp up a bit more. Another foul inside, and if that's on Bay, that's going to prove to be significant. That's going to be Isis Bay's second foul. Not even 4 minutes into this first quarter.
Well, I know one big key is Brea Cunningham staying out of foul trouble, but Isis Bay, they really need her to stay on the court. So Basham going to take the free throw here.
Yeah, we mentioned for Bay how she's really been playing great as of late, but really it's been all conference long. Second leading scorer for this Arizona team with 10.5 points per game. She'll sit down with those 2 fouls. And Katarina Knezjevic will come into the game, the freshman from Belgrade, Serbia. A local product for Arizona State, Kennedy Basham at the free throw line. And if you've watched ASU much this year, you've heard her story. Spent a couple of years up in Eugene at the University of Oregon before coming back home. And has proven to be one of the nation's elite shot blockers, tied with Sedona Prince in terms of the tallest players in this conference at 6'7".
And she can make her free throws. That's something that ASU does very well, and that could be very important in this game. She is going to be a presence down there in the paint. You see Parkinson draws that assignment quite a bit.
It's going to be a challenge for ASU to try to slow down this Arizona attack. It's an offense in Arizona that at times has been streaky this year, but defensively for ASU, they give up 76.5 points per game. That's 7th most in the entire country.
Yeah, defense has been a problem. They had a good effort against Utah. They were able to clamp down in that game, but it's been tough as Brown makes a nice shot.
Those long strides of Jaylen Brown, it's almost like if you're one step in front of Brown. She's already got 2 steps just because of her strides as she gets that one to go.
So athletic.
Here's Williams. Nearing the midway point of this opening quarter. Tightly contested and a massive game for both sides for completely different reasons. It's Jones off to Cunningham. Using the left hand high off glass. What a move for Brea Cunningham.
Boy, Brea Cunningham, she is imposing her will down low. And, you know, one thing talking to Coach Adair, she said, look, we don't want to get in a track meet. We want to manage these possessions. And she knows how potent this Wildcats offense can be.
Seen a couple of occasions where U of A's turned up this full court man-to-man defense just to try to make these guards for ASU have to think about things for over 90 feet. It's Skinner. Uses the screen, splits the double team. The floater is good. What a move for Ty Skinner. Right back at you. It's the finesse and speed that proves to be so difficult to stop.
She can create something out of nothing, and we saw it right there. She'll take on a big if she has to. She's fearless.
Hot shooting.
Mom Yolanda, her dad Rob, 6 siblings. She played street ball growing up, and she says that's how she wants to play, free.
That's exactly what she does on a gamely basis, it seems, as Paris couldn't get the 3 to go from the corner. Offensive rebound, and the possession stays alive as the elbow jump shot for Williams is off the mark. ASU finally able to secure that after it was bouncing around the floor, and here come the Sun Devils owning a 2-point advantage. Skinner, she's in her bag right now, and she forces the foul as Paris was just having to really fight tooth and nail to stay in front of Skinner. Ty Skinner, it's her night, senior night. You knew she was going to become at.
So it's an emotional day here, and what we're seeing right now is a 2-point lead for Arizona State.
Yeah, Skinner, who started her career out at New Hampshire alongside Natasha Adair, or I should say Delaware with Natasha Adair, and then came alongside her coach when Adair got the job here in Tempe. A corner 3 is off the mark by Jones out of the timeout.
They're just missing some shots here, the Wildcats, that, you know, in watching a lot of their games recently, they've been making these shots. So good job by Arizona State with contesting them.
That's bully ball down low. We asked Natasha Adair about Nevaeh Parkinson before the season started. She said it. She's my baby Barkley. That looked like prime Charles Barkley on that post move.
Yeah, it did. Dominating in the post. That's something they're going to look for today.
Points in the paint for Arizona State, already 10. Open 3 here. Knezjevic couldn't get it to go. Offensive rebound again for Cunningham, but a wild foul away off the mark. A 7-0 run here for the Sun Devils. Skinner will hoist. Off the mark. Rebound Williams. That's what we call a heat check.
That's right. I'll tell you what, I've been so impressed with Skinner, but Williams on the other side, these 2 point guards are electric.
Really good guard play in this game with Williams and Jones at the backcourt for U of A, and we've talked about Skinner and, of course, Jalen Brown for Arizona State. Foul will be called here on Jaya Levette. That's just the first team foul against Arizona State. And it's going to draw on an interesting move here for Coach Barnes, bringing back Isis Bay. Remember, 2 fouls already, and they're bringing her back in with 2:52 to go still in this first quarter.
That's the big one, is just keeping these key players on the floor. We know, Braden, that Arizona State's been shorthanded with some injuries, and that's going to be important for them as well in this game.
Yeah, the Sun Devils have been shorthanded really for the entire conference season, and the injury news kept getting worse as Michaela Moore is out today due to a concussion. She really had stepped into the starting lineup and started playing well for this ASU squad. Another turnover on Arizona. Typically, it's the Wildcats who's forcing steals against their opponents, but so far in this game, ASU with a couple of takeaways in the early going.
Well, yeah, they're all about pressure, Arizona, but the on-ball defense from the Sun Devils here today, it's improved from what we've seen in recent weeks.
Wildcats haven't scored in now over 3 minutes time. Levette on the wing. Rolls her at a screen, tosses it up to Parkinson. Couldn't quite finish, but the second effort is there. When Parkinson's in the zone, she can be a difference maker. So far in this game, she's been right there.
And we saw emotion from Parkinson and her family as well in the pregame. Another senior, and she is playing terrific right now. She can sing, too, by the way, Braden. Yeah,
she sang the national anthem before a game earlier this year in conference play. There's a big-time 3, Knezjevic. U of A needed something to go their way. Big-time shot for the Serbian. Yeah, going back to Parkinson, she comes from a family of hoopers. Her mom played at Pasadena City College, a really successful program just outside of L.A. Parkinson this time no good, and a rebound's picked up by Knezjevic. Wildcats looking to run and gun a bit offensively. At least it looked like they were going to, and now they'll slow it down to the freshman, Mylene Rolfe. Williams, 90 seconds to go opening quarter. Rolfe will look to drive down that right side, play it back to Jones. In front of the basket, missed that little push shot, and here comes Jaylen Brown ahead for ASU.
The Devils defense is on another level today.
Yeah, U of A just one of their last 7 from the floor as a charge will be called against Brown. First foul against Jaylen Brown, just the second on ASU. And that's something, if you watch U of A and Adia Barnes coached teams over the last 9 years, they absolutely cash in on charges.
Yeah, they do. It's something that they are able to take advantage of. And you know, this is going to be a physical game today. It always is when these two teams go at each other.
The Wildcats, remember, they started this game shooting the ball 4 of 6 since they've only hit 2 field goals. Here's Williams, a high-arcing rainbow 3 way off the mark. Offensive board by Knezjevic, but she couldn't finish. And now a jump ball call that will keep possession on Arizona's side. Heady play there for the sophomore Jada Williams to go tie it up with Kennedy Basham.
Yeah, Kennedy Basham, you know, she looked a little bit bewildered there, but, you know, that's something in this game. Again, you go back to the interior of this Sun Devils team, Parkinson, Basham, they're going to play a huge role today.
Lauren Swan into the game for Arizona, nearly threw it away. Williams able to climb the ladder, was out of control, and was called for the travel. Third giveaway for the Wildcats, and it goes back to ASU.
I mean, they've missed some open shots, but they've also been contested on a lot of these.
Yeah, you mentioned the defense, Jody, and covering this ASU team for the majority of their games this year. This is the most active I've seen them defensively, for sure, in conference play. Here's Levette. Wraparound find to Parkinson, but a travel will be called. It was a great idea by Jaya Levette, but back-to-back turnovers for each side.
You know, this is a team, they felt that they were very competitive in that game down at McHale Center. They were. It was tied at 44 after 3 quarters. And even as in the final 2 minutes, it was still a pretty close game.
Yeah, Arizona was able to pull away down the stretch in front of a rowdy crowd of over 8,000 at McHale Center.
This is what Williams does so well and makes that shot. You're right, the fan bus came up here, or maybe multiple buses, I should say, from Tucson.
There's a heavy U of A presence in this building, but so far the Wildcats are getting all they can handle as it's Skinner. Had it blocked away by Cunningham. Final 2 seconds of the quarter. A deep 3 for Williams. Off back iron and nearly went down, but just stayed out of there. But for Arizona State, they're trying to play spoiler today in Tempe. They're off to a pretty good start. They lead Arizona by 1 after a quarter of play. Sun Devils 17. Here as well. Yeah, she's one of just 4 coaches to lead their alma mater to a title game. Just shows what she's been able to do with this Arizona program.
I just want to say these 2 coaches also, I got to say, the best dressed in the country.
Yeah, we got the leopard print on one side for Coach Barnes and the gold top, or gold suit, I should say, for Coach Adair on ASU side. Turnover for the Sun Devils.
Looking sharp for the duel in the desert. Yeah, the Devils have to take care of the ball. We saw that too, and Brea Cunningham had a great block before we went to break.
Cunningham and her length, that proves to be a weapon for Arizona, averaging nearly 2 blocks per game. Here's Paris. Down low, Cunningham, right on cue, falling away, didn't get the friendly roll. That's that move we've seen a lot, really all year long from Brea Cunningham. Seen a couple of makes early in this game, but 2 straight misses now for the big.
Yeah, she's a key player for them, no question about that, as that ball goes out of bounds.
Turnovers are contagious, and for ASU, more times than not, when they've struggled in conference play, they've really started to rack up consistently. 2 straight here, something to monitor to start this second quarter.
I believe that they had 15 down in Tucson, and that was one of the messages, take care of the ball.
Yeah, that's right on their season average, 15.5 turnovers per game. Here's Paris breaking down Levette, getting inside, and she'll draw the foul. 2 free throws to come for Paulina Paris, the former North Carolina Tar Heel, who's in her first season with Wildcats. You know, it's always interesting, Jody, hearing, especially in today's day and age of college basketball, when someone enters the transfer portal, what sticks out? Of course, you have NIL, and that's a factor that nobody can ignore anymore. But in the case of Paulina Paris, she said, look, Coach Barnes was the first coach to reach out to me, showed that she liked me, she liked my game. That really played a big impact for her.
It can be that first impression. And, of course, every athlete, when you tell them coming out of high school, go where you're wanted.
Paris knocks down the free throw, and we're tied up at 17. Everyone likes to be wanted, right?
That's right. and these days with all the fluidity, I guess that's a nice way to put it, with the portal, that can even change, but...
3 straight turnovers as Brown threw it away. The Wildcats have a chance to take advantage of numbers here. 5 on 4 means someone's open. It's Jones off the mark on the corner 3, and the Sun Devils survive the scare.
And here comes Skinner to reset this offense. Again, trying to manage possessions.
And a foul will be called against Arizona. As Skinner was trying to put her head down. That's when she's at her most dangerous, when she turns on the jets. Got to try to stop that if you're Arizona. As the foul was called against Cunningham, that's her first.
Yeah, and defending Skinner, you might think just the size advantage with Cunningham on her there, but, you know, Skinner is so crafty.
Jalen Brown in the short quarter would start 4 points in the early going, and she draws the foul and will earn a couple of free throws. The junior from Baltimore, Maryland, who's 8th in the conference in points per game at 17.6. And we've talked so much about Ty Skinner, but it's Brown who leads this ASU team in scoring. And she's shown really throughout the entire season she can be the one to carry this team offensively when needed.
Yeah, she really has 17.5 points a game, 82% free throw shooter. And this is going to be big right here to give the Sun Devils the advantage again with a tie game.
This is really the biggest strength for ASU, their free throw shooting. Best team in the Big 12 in terms of at the charity stripe, 76%, or just a touch over that so far this year, as Brown knocks down the first. Sun Devils really overcame the first hurdle of their season. They have been notorious for starting slow and digging early holes. Not the case. Now you get to steady the seas. You've got a couple minutes into this second quarter, up by 2. If you're Natasha Adair and this ASU staff, you've got to love where you're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, up by 2 right here with about 8 minutes to go in the half, and they just have to continue. Consistency. Lined it up, and she made it.
33% from downtown, Paulina Paris. We said earlier the transfer from UNC. Brown spun around like a DJ and nailed the mid-range J. And there's a whistle. It looked like Jones might have gotten popped. And a timeout on the floor to now replay that last sequence.
Heat up. That's going to be big for the Devils.
And we were talking to Coach Barnes at shoot-around today. She said the difficult part about defending ASU is they have 2 guards that can take over the game by themselves. And if they're both going, as they were at ASU's upset win against BYU, that's when they can be really dangerous. The ASU bench is begging and pleading to say they didn't get that shot off. They were already upset there wasn't a foul called on Knezjevic's effort to swipe it away from Nevaeh Parkinson, but what a big swing for the Wildcats.
It really was. A bit of a wrestling match broke out there on the floor of the paint.
Great reaction from Paulina Paris as well. Kind of just shrugged after she banked home that 3. Here's Parkinson trying to get back. Down low, Basham had it poked free. It's off of Kennedy Basham, and it's Arizona basketball.
Another turnover here. The Devils can't lose too many possessions, again, with the Wildcats now having the 2-point lead.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I'm not sure if Paulina Paris called bank, but it does not matter.
Well, her confidence has to be growing right now.
She's been big. 7 points. Knezjevic. That poked free by Novosel. Now it's Paris in that same spot. Throw it down low, Cunningham. Swan of the quarter, 3.
That was a big shot. We've seen Swan be able to do that. She may be young, but that was her first bucket today, but ASU answers right back.
And how about Addison Novosel? She was emotional before the game, one of those seniors that got honored, not someone who normally plays a lot for ASU, but responds with a big-time shot.
Yeah, coming right into the game and taking that shot, that was huge.
Nearly a steal. Jones was able to pry that free from Skinner. Now she'll look to attack, get inside. Float game no good. And a foul will be called on Skylar Jones. That's her second.
But Jones cannot seem to buy a bucket today, and it's interesting watching her play. I haven't seen her quite this cold that we've seen in this first half here.
She's a double-digit scorer per game for Arizona. And to your point, Jody, 0 of 4 from the floor. In her first 13 minutes, she'll take a seat. Tightly contested. Largest lead for either side was 6, and that was on the Sun Devils side.
Losing last year, of course, with the knee injury, the torn ACL, you would never know it. Back with a vengeance, and what a career. She kind of joked about maybe having another year of eligibility here, but this was her senior ceremony before this game, and she's playing with that fire we always see.
You know what, Jody? Who knows when eligibility expires now in college athletics? Here's Paris, who's been hot in this second quarter. Couldn't quite finish with a left hand, and a foul will be called against Arizona on the rebound. And it will go against Brea Cunningham.
Yeah, Brea Cunningham always on that fine line. That's her second foul. I know one thing they talked about is really focusing on her being able to stay in this game, play that physical brand of ball that she does bring.
Foul trouble is really starting to tack up on the front court for Arizona. Both Bay and Cunningham each with 2 fouls. Tyon Ross to come in, who typically isn't all that much of a contributor for Arizona, but due to foul trouble, she's getting a call here in a huge game.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're going to tap into their depth, and with Dew not able to play in this game due to injury, that was something we learned earlier today.
Down low, and a 2 for Parkinson.
Yeah, Parkinson, way to finish right there.
Just over 4 minutes to go, first half. Back and forth we go in Tempe. Williams and Brown. This is a fun matchup at the top of the key. They played off to Bay, who's back in there with those 2 fouls, and she got poked in the eye, it looked like. And a foul will be called against Jalen Brown.
That one was called. And, yeah, Jalen Brown, she's, they are playing some really strong defense, Arizona State, but gotta be careful right there. And you saw Skylar Jones go over and have some contact to the face, and then Isis Bay right there.
We told you it'd be physical.
That's one thing you can count on. It's a physical game anyway, but then you put the duel in the desert out here on the court. This is what you get.
And the meaning on Arizona and for ASU, for that matter. Skinner, and an offensive foul was called. Skinner was about to come in and try to force a jump ball, but the foul was called against Williams before any of that could happen.
Well, like you said, Arizona, they got to look out for the fouls. We haven't even hit the halfway mark of this game.
Foul trouble definitely an issue, as for Williams, that was just her first, but we've already talked about the foul trouble in the front court. It must be said, Jody, so far, ASU's been the aggressor in this game.
Mm-hmm. They really have, and that was something they've been working on in practice, playing better defense, trying to limit turnovers, but there we see it again. Kennedy Basham, when the ball's coming into her, about being able to corral it.
For Arizona so far in this game, they're about to eclipse their second 3+ minute scoring drought. It's just been the inconsistency offensively. And if it wasn't for Paulina Paris and her play in the second quarter, where would the Wildcats be? Here's Bay, tiptoeing the baseline underneath. That's a tough 2, and Bay right back into the game with those 2 fouls. and making her impact felt.
Well, and earlier today, Coach Barnes was telling you and I how Isis Bay is just so confident right now. These are her last games. She's embracing her role as a leader, doing whatever her team needs her to do. Big bucket right there.
Brown traveled, and another turnover for the Sun Devils. That's now 8 in this game, and for ASU, it's really hit them hard in the second quarter. 6 of those turnovers have come here in the second stanza. Yeah, going back to Isis Bay, Coach described her as a journeywoman. Started off at UNLV, then off to Salt Lake Community College for a couple of years. That foul again will go against Arizona, and it's against Williams. That's now her second. But back to base, now finding a home in Tucson and trying to close out her college career with a trip to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and in that last game, you know, at home, she was talking about how the fans, she's forged quite a relationship with them. They text her after games. Great fan base down there.
Yeah, thunderous chants of her first name were ringing down for McHale while she was balling out of the Wildcats win over Texas Tech. Foul again will be called, and Arizona's got to be careful. I mean, they're running out of opportunities down low, as that's now 3 on Jada Williams, their leading scorer.
Earlier, when we first began this game, the fouls were low, and we were talking about that. You mentioned that. Maybe a little bit of a jinx there, because now all of a sudden they are piling up quickly.
I don't know if you subscribe to this thought process. Some people say there's an allotment that you got to hit. It's Parkinson at the free throw line for Arizona State. The first one's no good. Not only now 3 fouls on Williams, but 3 fouls in about, I don't know, minute 45. It's been really rapid.
It's certainly disrupted the flow of the game a little bit.
Parkinson's 0 of 2 from the stripe. And as Rasheed Wallace, the former Detroit Piston, would yell, "Ball don't lie." That's how Arizona's feeling right now. Knezdovic, who hasn't scored much in this first half, but her toughness has made a difference for the Wildcats so far.
There's just so many freshmen on this Wildcats team. I mean, Swan, Knezdovic. The three-point shooting right now has been the difference for the Wildcats as they extend their lead to 6 points.
And an all too familiar tale for ASU. 3-point shooting in terms of defense has been a massive struggle for the Sun Devils. Wildcats now 7 of 14 from downtown as Skinner's jumper went in and out.
And that was one thing that they did well, Braden. You and I talked about this yesterday. You pointed out how the Wildcats were just 3 of 17 from 3 in that first matchup. But they're hitting those today.
They feed Bay in the post. Got great position, and a travel will be called against Isis Bay. Back to ASU. What a big run, though, for Arizona. As we said, they had that long scoring drought of over 3 minutes. Now they're on an 8-0 run, and they've hit 6 of their last 8 from the floor.
Yeah, that's how quickly things can happen here. And for the Sun Devils, they're scoring drought at about 3.5 minutes. There's some urgency here as time winds down.
Might be the final offensive possession for ASU in this first half. A half that's been back and forth. They'll throw it down low, Parkinson. Great find, but she didn't get the roll. And it will stay with ASU with 24.7 seconds left. The Wildcat bench couldn't believe it.
It's been an effective play, especially early in the game, to feed Parkinson. So I like the idea there.
Basham couldn't quite get the inbound. Novacell was in the right place at the right time to keep the possession alive. Brown, a 3. High arcing off the mark. Parkinson will clear on the glass, and they play it off to Skinner. ASU can now hold for the final shot if they want it, but Skinner is aggressive, and she'll shoot free throws with 9 seconds to go.
Well, Skinner, that's exactly what you get when she is cutting to the basket. Very likely she's going to draw a foul. And I like the way Parkinson got the ball back to her. You want the ball in her hands in the final seconds.
So it's Skinner with 7 points in this first half. She's played every single second. And if I had to guess, she'd have to be dragged off the floor to take her out of this game. First free throw off the mark for Skinner.
Yeah, she and Kennedy Basham have played in every game this season. And again, considering the torn ACL last year, you love to see that. Not only health, but available for every moment.
So Brown will check out of the game with 9 seconds to go in this first half.
Lauren Swan What a half of basketball she is playing right now. The freshman with 9 points.
Haymaker after haymaker for the Wildcats in the final 3 minutes of this second quarter. And you mentioned Swan playing well beyond her years. Missed the free throw. Kneznovic at the horn. It's off the mark. And we head to halftime. Arizona State once led this game by 6. The Wildcats close the half. Wildcat fans here in attendance. Chance of U of A as we're back underway at Desert Financial Arena.
Hopefully they start the way they started the game.
Turnaround two. Cunningham knocks home the short corner J. Yeah, and to your point, Jody, ASU came out of the gates hot, and then they didn't close well. That's really the polar opposite of what we've seen all year long.
Yeah, kind of a flipping of the script. But really all that matters now is what happens in this final half. But it is a 10-point lead for the Wildcats. So, again, it's about managing the possessions. And we saw Brown with the ball right there. But, you know, Coach Adair, she wants this team to lay it all out here today as the final regular season home game.
Foul there went on Swan. That's her second. Foul trouble certainly an issue for Arizona. We'll document that more as it becomes more of a factor. That was a great defensive recovery. And the second block for Brea Cunningham will send it back Arizona's way.
Yeah, Brea Cunningham doing a nice job down low.
There's Paulina Paris. 9 points so far for Paris. Swan, an open jumper. 3.
And Cunningham with a little screen just in front. That was nice. Swan is really proving what kind of shooter she is here today.
You said it earlier, Jody, just 3 made triples in the first meeting. They've tripled that, no pun intended, already in this game. Parkinson. Tied up, and the possession arrow will stay with ASU.
Yeah, that had to be number one when they met at halftime. You know, how do you limit those threes? How do you continue to defend the way you did in the first couple minutes of the game?
There's the foul trouble for Arizona in terms of what they're dealing with. Of course, the main one is Jada Williams with 3, but a rash of Wildcats with a couple of fouls. Yeah, you mentioned that three-point shooting. Utah a couple of weeks ago in this building hit 18 threes. That was the most an opponent has ever made against Arizona State's program. Arizona right on track to challenge that potentially here today, already with 9 made threes. It's Bay spinning around. Off the side of the backboard, wildly missed that one. And here comes Arizona State. Really create something out of nothing. 8 points now for Jaylen Brown, and the Sun Devils back to within 11. Arizona really turned this from a tight game, and they've opened it up now to a double-digit lead. Closing minutes, I should say, the second quarter was all navy and red. Here's Paris. Another 3 for Bay. Missed that one short. Knocked down a triple in that first half.
Nice, Bay. I mean, she's showing she can score from anywhere. She knocked down a 3 in the first half.
Skinner's their 10th 8-2 run. And they've got their largest lead of the ball game of 14. An ASU counterpunch out of the timeout. It's Jaya Levette, the sophomore, running the pick and roll with Basham. Parkinson in her final game here at home in maroon and gold. Now it's Brown and Basham late in the shot clock. Nothing working here on this possession until Parkinson got low and she got the friendly roll.
There you go. And it's interesting with Kennedy Basham, you know, kind of on the perimeter trying to get the ball into Parkinson. It definitely worked that time. Much needed basket.
On the wing, open 3, Swan. Her first miss of the ball game. And a loose ball foul will be called against Arizona, and that goes on Brea Cunningham, her third. And that's really been the trouble all year long for Cunningham, a great player, sophomore out of Chula Vista, California, but third most in the nation in terms of fouls committed. And we talked to Coach Barnes about that before and kind of rolled her eyes and said, look, we're just trying to teach her a little bit of discipline in terms of when not to foul. And that, unfortunately, was an occasion where it was an unnecessary foul.
Yeah, and that is the key. And she'll get more mindful of that. Again, young team, just a sophomore. You learn those things as your career continues here in college. Game between Parkinson and Basham on the last 2 possessions.
So ASU needed to get something going offensively, and they've scored 2 field goals in a row. Paris will drive, and down low it's Bay. Base is up, missed the 2, rebound Parkinson.
Well, that's a big stop right there. They needed that.
Corner 3, Brown. That would have been big for the Devils, but Wildcats can exhale.
Well, they're going to have to. I know they didn't want to take quick shots, but they have to have something going here. They need to score quickly to get on a run.
Paris running the show as the point guard. Gets inside, pump fakes, and will kick out. The 3 for Knezovic. She got it to go.
It's contagious on this Wildcat team right now. The threes are raining down here at Desert Financial Arena.
And not only 11 made threes, but they're doing so efficiently. 55%, 11 of 20 from downtown as the mid-range J goes for Ty Skinner.
Ty Skinner on the board. More Ty Skinner here in the second half for Arizona State.
Knezovic. Paris, the Wildcats 4 of 8 from the floor in this third quarter, 3 of 5 from downtown. Knezovic will try it again, this time off the mark. And Parkinson, she's been the difference maker for ASU in this third quarter.
She really has, and she was.
And there will be a whistle and a foul called on Arizona State. It's going to take it Arizona's way with 4:29 to play.
And I'm just along for the ride, no question about that. But by the way, Nevaeh Parkinson, 11 boards today.
Yeah, double-double already for Parkinson. Nice swing back into game action, partner. We'll get the spotlight off of you. Heavenly Greer into the game for ASU as well. Parkinson will take a seat with that double-double, but you would assume she won't be out for long. And frankly, ASU can't have her out for very long.
Well, she's been a dominant force, but so has Isis Bay, who gets the hoop and the harm.
Chance at a three-point play for Bay. And what a day it's been for number 33. 14 points now and a chance to make it 15. And the Wildcats really just getting whatever look they want. We've talked so much about their success from downtown in this game, but they've also really been able to find Bay and Cunningham at will, especially in this third quarter.
Yeah, we were encouraged by the defense early on in this game from the Sun Devils, the way that they came out, but they haven't been able to sustain it, and that's what's been tough. I don't think anyone could have predicted the amount of three-pointers here in this game by the Wildcats, but they're also getting it done inside.
And they're just one away from tying a season high. They hit 12 against TCU, who, of course, at the top of this conference, and they're meeting in mid-February.
And they look like they could blast right past that.
You would assume so with well over a quarter to go as Skinner misses the 3. And here comes Jada Williams. It's been a game mired by foul trouble. Good pass ahead, Knezovic. It was blocked out of play, and it will stay with the Wildcats.
And now, you know, the Arizona State team, they're in a spot where they want to keep it close. Down by 14 right now, similar to what happened down in Tucson. If you're close at the end, you're in a good spot to make some plays, but right now you see them trying to take some shots, maybe a little bit more desperate than they need to be, but they have to get back in it.
It's a tough spot for Arizona State. Here's Bay, turnaround 2. Couldn't quite get the friendly roll.
Another rebound for Parkinson.
See if the Devils can piece together some quality possessions, and that won't help. An offensive foul will be called against Parkinson, who just came back into the game. That's just her first foul, but it goes back the way of the Wildcats.
Yeah, unfortunately there is Jalen Brown trying to make something happen.
10 turnovers now on Arizona State in this game. Honestly, not a bad total based on where they've been so far, as Sun Devils have switched to a zone look defensively. Here's Williams into the corner. Paris couldn't quite knock down the 12th 3 of the game, and it's Levette on the run out. Trailer to Brown, who whips one down low to Greer. Goes out of play, and it's Arizona ball. Another turnover on the Devils.
Yeah, that was tough, as you know, trying to get the ball to Heavenly Greer. I like that, but good job by Paris getting down there, getting back on defense. Her hustle was impressive.
What she lacked in size, she made up for in quickness and tenacity. Under 3 minutes to go, third quarter. With a win, Wildcats will be in the 8th seed in the Big 12 tournament. Williams, stop and pop. It's automatic.
Well, Williams, that is something she does so well. And having her back in the game gives the Wildcats another scoring threat.
53-37, the largest lead of this game now for Arizona as Brown couldn't get it to go. Rebound and a foul will be called on the Sun Devils. And it's almost like the Wildcats found their rhythm with about 2.5 minutes to go in the second quarter, and they just frankly have not let up since. It has been all Arizona, like we said, really from that point, with about 4 minutes or so to go in the second quarter.
Yeah, I mean, Swan hit a couple of those threes, and it just changed the momentum.
Inside, no good. And it will stay with U of A. Sun Devils last led when it was 28-26. That was with 4:16 to go in the second quarter.
Yeah, like you said, Brady, that ties their season high with 12 made threes, and we still have another quarter to go.
12 of 23 from downtown. It's an 8-0 run, and the Arizona lead is 19. Levette, big-time answer. But it's going to start on the other end of the floor for Arizona State.
Yeah, it really does. They have to find a way to clamp down on defense. That was the first bucket for Lovette.
Lovette's been really quiet. 20 minutes in this game. And as you mentioned, Jody, just those 2 points. Williams, why not a heat check? Does it again! And a shimmy shake for good measure.
She likes to do a little dancing out on the court. We've seen that before. And now the Wildcat fans are being heard pretty loudly here.
That was Steph Curry with that shimmy shake. Skinner airballed the two, and it's Williams who will throw it ahead. Levette will pick that off like a safety. 20-point lead for Arizona. They hit the gas and turned on the nitrous. Turnaround two for Brown. It's off the mark. Parkinson's putbacks there.
They needed that. They have to try to claw back into this as the final minute winds down here in the third.
Williams had some frustration, especially in that second quarter. She picked up 3 fouls, really, in the snap of a finger. And she has balled out in the closing couple of minutes of this third quarter. It's been the closeout of the quarters where Arizona has excelled so far in this game. Here she is again. Showed off her range. So a buzzer beater 3 for Ty Skinner, but it was all Arizona.
ASU did a better job defending the perimeter, but not today. This Wildcats team has been hot as far as making shots.
Well, even in the start of this game, Arizona was just 2 of their first 8 from 3. That means they're 11 of their last 16. 69% over their last 16 threes. Nice move down low as Cunningham goes back to the well.
Well, and of course, it's pick your poison, because as ASU tries to defend the 3, they can go inside with Cunningham or even Bay and get points in the paint.
Levette, a stop and pop, could not hit. Battle for the board, and it will stay with ASU. I mean, 69% from your last 16 threes, that's not something you can even do in 2K.
No, it's not something you see very often. You're right, it's video game numbers right now for the Wildcats.
We shouted out Steph Curry earlier after Williams did a little shimmy shake.
Yeah.
It's really impressive.
It looks like Steph did it.
Right? Skinner inside draws the foul. And a couple of free throws to come. I know you've been really impressed in your prep and talking to Ty Skinner yesterday in terms of her story and just the type of person she is. She's so much fun to talk to and such a nuanced person playing her final game here in Tempe today.
She just has so much fun out here. She likes to play free. I enjoyed hearing her talk about that and just not being hesitant out there.
14 points now for Skinner today. And it's been a comeback season for her. Missed all of last year due to injury. The rehab process off the torn ACL, and boy, she's shooting it. Great roll from Skinner.
You know, back to Skinner and the injury, yesterday talking to Coach Natasha Adair, she said she cried one day when she realized the severity of the injury because she had never been injured. And Coach Adair, her history, she dealt with a lot of injuries in her career, but she said she cried one day and that was it. And that was no more pity there. She just rehabbed.
Talks about the mental strength of not only Skinner, but anyone that has to deal with a season-ending injury, especially at the college level. It can be so hard mentally, just as hard mentally as it is physically, where you rely on that support system, your coaches, your teammates, of course, the trainers that help you rehab. But it's a whole process to come back from a devastating injury like that.
Yeah, it really is. And the fact that, she had never been injured prior to that is amazing.
It's fortunate. Nice post defense by Cunningham. Parkinson will get it back, but it will be a foul that's called on Heavenly Greer, I believe, and it will go back to Arizona. Devils just running out of time here. Even if they are to start getting stops, I should say, defensively, a 16-point hole with just 8:20 to go, that's a really big ask.
It is. It does go back to the end of that second quarter, Braden. You pointed that out, and that was where the momentum switched, and they just couldn't get it back after halftime.
The Devils led this game by 1 after a quarter. But it has really fallen away from them, and it all started on the defensive side of the floor. Give Arizona a lot of credit. They've hit tough shots. I mean, you think of that high-arcing banked three from Paulina Paris, which really kind of got Arizona going.
It did. It really did. And Paulina Paris.
Look out. Swan just off the mark that time.
Yeah, she's another. Now they're just going to keep shooting.
It's looking like NBA All-Star Weekend. It's looking like Saturday night. Here comes Skinner. Sabrina Ionescu in the building. There's a foul down low. It's on the Wildcats, and it's called against Jada Williams. That's going to be her 4th.
Well, when you have a lead like this and you can take chances, it's fun to continue to make those.
When you're hot, you're hot. And right now this entire team is hot.
And the Sun Devils can't seem to find any way to cool them down.
14 of 27 now from downtown. Brown will drive baseline, lose it. It's up for casual college basketball fan or not, or even if you don't follow the sport at all, everyone fills out a bracket.
That's right.
Nevaeh Parkinson cashes home that three-point play. A season high, by the way, 16 rebounds now for Parkinson, nearing a season high in points scored. Now up to 17, her senior day. The Sun Devils are going to have to make a big-time push in order to make things interesting. Starts with plays like that. Brown ahead of the pack. The layup is good, and the foul. No, I thought I heard a whistle. I'm incorrect, and we play off.
There was a whistle.
Okay.
Apparently it wasn't a foul. So Jalen Brown, very nice play right there. Converting, and again, trying to get a spark going for these Sun Devils.
So I'm not going crazy.
No, I heard it too.
Okay. Maybe a fan was whistling. Arizona
you could be right on that.
Deliberately taking their time on this possession, as they should. Nursing an 11-point lead. Bay fell down to the post, and a timeout will be called for Adia Barnes, as everything was kind of off kilter. They'll have 2.1 seconds to shoot it.
Yeah, I mean, just looking again, we've talked about the three-pointers for the Wildcats, but another area, 21 bench points for Arizona to just 3 for Arizona State. And we know that ASU's been hurt by a couple of injuries, but I think the depth is another area we're seeing here prevail for the Wildcats. But 11 points, again, cutting into that lead, it was as high as 20 in that third quarter. So the Sun Devils just trying to stay close and see what they can do here down the stretch. Meanwhile, the Wildcats know what's on the line.
Yeah, and give Arizona State a lot of credit. They have been a team all year long. It has not mattered the situation. It has not mattered the opponent. They have been a team that has fought the entire way through. And like you said, it was a 20-point game. Would have been easy to roll over. But ASU's responded with a 7-0 run over 209, and at least making Arizona sweat a little bit here. Was still enough time to make things interesting. 2.1 to shoot, like we said. They inbounded in the corner. Swan, another one as the shot clock expires.
It doesn't seem like she misses. But now she's 6 for 8 from three-point land.
Her season high is 22, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is her best played game of the year considering the stage. Parkinson with another offensive board and drew the foul. She is playing like an animal right now.
I like the running the play through her right there. For a freshman, she's taking these shots. She is growing up in a big way here today.
She was a late recruit, but a top 100 recruit at that. Highly touted, and You can see why. Looks like she has such a bright future. Lavette inside. Couldn't get the layup to go, and the rebound will fall to Swan. Here she comes with a full head of steam, showing off the handles. Giving way, calling for it back. Won't get the shot as it's missed by Rolfe. Lauren Swan gave that up and then immediately was like, ball, 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 ball. She wanted it right
she
back.
She wanted it back. I don't blame her.
Parkinson battling on the glass. She is playing with all-out effort right now for ASU, but here come the Wildcats. They've got numbers. It's a 3-on-2.
Right now we're just going back and forth with missed shots and good defense.
Both these teams laying it all on the line. It's a little bit helter-skelter here. Open three, Lavette. Would have been a big shot. Didn't get it to go, and a loose ball foul against Ty Skinner of ASU.
Yeah, Lavette, again, you mentioned a little quiet today. She is definitely a player that's been productive for the Devils this season. And they need some of these shots to go down here late in this game.
So Parkinson will sit down. Can't imagine it's going to be a long time. 17 points, 18 rebounds, and 34 minutes for Parkinson. For U of A, their leading scorer has been Lauren Swan, who's at the bottom of your screen right now in the corner. Number 1 in red. You don't know her by now. I don't know where you've been.
That's right. Maybe you're just joining us, but she has been red hot.
Paris has been quiet offensively in this second half. Down low to Bay. Swivels around. Missed the layup. And here comes Heavenly Greer at ASU. Halfway through the fourth quarter. You are just joining us. Like Jody said, ASU trailed by 20 earlier in this quarter. They've got it down to 14. And they make one more big push. Thrown down low for Basham. She threw it away.
Another turnover there for Arizona State.
13 giveaways now for ASU in this game.
You I was wondering if Skinner was just going to take that shot, but she chose to get it into the paint.
Paris.
Nice job by Paris being aggressive there.
And a whistle will be called. Sure if it was a foul or a flop warning potentially against Arizona.
Things have gotten a little bit more chippy here with 4 minutes left.
Chippy, and the pace is turned up to 10.
Yes.
Almost out of control at times. Speaking of out of control, the Devils fortunate they didn't just throw that away. Here's Brown. Shake and bake into a step back. Off the mark. Battle underneath. Greer got it, and she'll go to the free throw line.
Well, I like the aggression again. You try to make something happen down low. You get the call. Make a couple of free throws here, but the Wildcats still in control with a 16-point lead.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Arizona State, after that last timeout, see if this changes here, but they've not scored since. Scoring drought of 3-13. As the first free throw for Greer is off the mark. She has not made a free throw all year long. Seldom used senior from Phoenix. Averaging just over a point per contest. Misses both, and that is huge. ASU couldn't afford to have that happen.
Well, Parkinson's had such a great game, but with that last foul, she's been her on the bench, hoping that they can have a spark without her, but she's been excellent today.
Yeah, you got to wonder. I mean, they have to have Parkinson in this game. Down by 16, it's already a tall enough task. Might be too steep of a hill regardless, but you got to have your best player out there, and that's been Parkinson today. Basham comes up with a block for ASU. Skinner was able to somehow dribble around a defender, somehow keep it, and it's Basham laying it up and in on the other end.
That's a big 2 point.
Natasha Adair was thinking about a timeout, and instead, Adia Barnes will do the honors and call a timeout with 3:15 to go. That last bucket for ASU in a flurry down the floor. And it was Kennedy Basham who got behind the defense.
Yeah, and it's, again, without Parkinson in there, good to see Basham making that play. She's a good option when you look at finishing at the rim. But, you know, the shooting today, it just hasn't, as much as the Sun Devils started out shooting more efficiently than the Wildcats, it's really been all Wildcats since the middle of that second quarter. But we did see, you know, again, I go back to the fact that this is senior day here. Skinner, Parkinson, and the seniors, I think they came out with so much emotion. They've still played with emotion, but they weren't able to sustain some of the things they were doing on defense.
And it's a great point. And you wondered going into this, the motivation factor. If ASU got hit, would they respond? They have responded, but it's been Arizona. You can tell there's just more on the table for them right now. Swan thought about the three. Now it's Bay, and she travels. Parkinson's back in there, by the way, for ASU for the closing stretch.
You mentioned it for the Wildcats and their motivation. I mean, you know, everything is still right out there in front of them. You know, with the net ranking at 59, looking for a fifth straight NCAA tournament bid.
Beautiful program they've built down in Tucson as Greer didn't quite get the role. And Arizona State, frankly, running out of time. Down by 14 with 2:40 to go in the fourth. Greer playing defense for the Devils. Knezjevic underneath. Threw it away. Careless with the basketball, and here comes Skinner, hesitating and driving. And it goes Arizona's way.
Well, that Skinner just again trying to cut to the basket and make something happen, at least get the foul.
So 2:25 to go. ASU just 1 for their last 8 from the floor. Williams will lob it down low for Bay. Her 2 won't go, and how about another rebound for Parkinson? She's working on a potential 20-20 game. 17 points, and now 19 rebounds for Nevaeh Parkinson. As another empty trip for ASU, under 2 minutes to go in Tempe.
Yeah, and that would be incredible. 19 rebounds for Parkinson here today. What a game on her final regular season game at home.
How about the acrobatics from Brown to keep that alive, and here comes ASU. The pace has gotten out of control on both sides. Brown will get on the block, fall away, and miss the shot. And Adia Barnes just stuck her right hand up as if to say, chill, please, slow down the pace.
Manage the possession. I mean, we have seen the Wildcats try to, you know, get some time off the clock.
And they just took too much time chilling. 10-second call, and it goes back to ASU.
It's finding that balance, Brady. You know, it goes from chaos to a complete stop.
Let's just say this. Final 7 minutes of this game will not be shown on a fundamentals tape.
No, it's gotten a little wild as, you know, ASU's desperate to make things happen, and the Wildcats are content to slow it down.
Arizona's turned it over 4 times in the last 5 minutes. ASU, as we said, now just 1 up for their last 11 from the floor. Just over a minute to play in this one. Arizona is going to win their 7th straight. That's not a good news, or a good sign for Arizona, as Swan is now limping. A foul was called, but that's really not a good sign as Lauren Swan is grabbing at the back of her foot.
She's in a lot of pain. I didn't see it. Maybe she got stepped on. Yeah, this is not what you want to see right now with a minute left here.
18 points for Swan, 6 of 8 from downtown in this game. And the Wildcats' leading scorer will walk off the floor. Not going to impact the results of this one, but obviously you want to make sure she's okay when the conference tournament starts. And with Arizona winning this game, as we mentioned, they'll now have the bye. So that's big, but you hope Swan's okay.
It is big for them. You seem like you get a regroup before the tournament, but in talking to ASU, for example, I believe they're leaving Monday night. I mean, you really don't get too much time here, but the bye will help U of A get a little bit healthier.
Basham misses the second free throw. Bay will pull down the board, and this one's all over but the shouting, and give Arizona a lot of credit. Came into a hornet's nest, a lot of emotion for ASU. Devils started the game off hot, but Arizona just shot themselves over the top of Arizona State. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, you're right. And U of A, by the way, may have Sanaya Jah available for that Big 12 tournament.
South Carolina transfer. That would be huge. Shot at the end of the shot clock. It's knocked down. Knezjevic again. And it's a substitution timeout. A couple of seniors come into the game for ASU. It's Novosel and Miller in there for the Sun Devils. A nice touch by Coach Ada there to bring in a couple of seniors.
It really is. It's an emotional day for these seniors, and they should be so proud of what they've done and what they've brought here to Arizona State throughout their career.
Change for the Wildcats as well as Brooklyn Rhodes will come into the game, and a nice ovation for Isis Bay, who will check out of the game. Final possession for ASU as the chants of U of A are booming here in Tempe.
Yeah, booming is a good word. It's getting loud.
Skinner plays off Novosel.
Yeah, what a game. I mean, you know, when you look at it, Braden, 71-59, but this game was very close, especially in that first quarter when Arizona State led. But midway through the second quarter, you could